Pico. Oh, yeah. Mayegun don't come. Oh, yeah. This one not day off in mind. Oh, yeah. Mayegun don't come. Oh, yeah. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say, make we no talk. But thank God say, Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. My people make you shout. Oh. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. It is Mayegun Live.
Mayegun diary. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o.
Just take a moment, if you haven't already, take a moment to read the caption of the broadcast, the description of the broadcast, share it, like the broadcast. These are 4 steps you have to kind of follow before you get so invested in this chat tonight. Apologies that we are starting late again. However, I will make it up to all of us tonight. Arewa rejects Tinubu's move, relocating the Central Bank of Nigeria operations to Lagos. Relocation of the FAN headquarters back to Lagos. All these moves, they are anti-North. Tinubu is up to something. Arewa is not comfortable. I know some of you will be happy to hear that.
Lórí YouTube, Mayegun ti dé. And yes, we like Mayegun ti dé. Oh, Baba gbé wúrẹ́. Mayegun máa wí. And yes, we like.
The Arewa Consultative Forum, that is the congregation of the elite of northern Nigeria. So one of them who happened to be their Dalatu, who happened to be their BOT sort of member, spoke. Share the broadcast as soon as they enter the temple. Remember, share the broadcast. We are starting in a minute. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. It is Mayegun and this is live. That is for those who are watching it live now. If you are watching the replay later, still the same thing, kind of. Yesterday, we were talking about those who claimed to be fighting terrorism, but using tribalism to fight terrorism in a way that we believe that you cannot use propaganda to fight state-sponsored terrorism. That was last night. But that same last night, like yesterday evening, the Arewa consultative forum, they could no longer hold it. Remember, just last week, It was the Sharia Council who came out to say, Omo, this is a total disaster. Muslim tickets, they were deceived and they were suffering. And Tinubu had to do something. Then a few days after that, they got an invitation to the Old Rock, where Tinubu told them, I understand, I feel everything, and all of blah, 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 blah. And then they came out to say, let's just give him more time. Same thing happened when they were killing, which they are still doing, killing all of killing people in the Middle Belt, part of Nigeria, and mostly Christians. And people reacted, where is Khan? Where is Khan? Christian Association of Nigeria, where are those leadership? Then, few days after that, Khan leadership appeared in Old Rock. And they also came out and they said, let us be patient with Kolu. Sorry if they kill your family member for now, but they are doing something. It's so sad that they are killing you, okay? So, sorry about that. That was Christian Association of Nigeria. But you see this particular one coming from the Arewa Consultative Forum is detailed. Is a TV convo. And I have some of the chart I'm going to share with you tonight. The reason why I'm sharing this with you tonight is this. Everyone can continue to lie to themselves that there is a place called One Nigeria. It doesn't exist. It only exists in the imagination of those who are still living in that La La Land. However, we also know that Nigeria, when it comes to governance of Nigeria, everyone knows that it is turn by turn Nigeria Limited. Somehow, the same victims, let me repeat that. Somehow, if you pay attention very well, you will realize that there is no single part of Nigeria today that is not marginalized when it comes to infrastructure, employment, security. There is no part of Nigeria that is not affected by misgovernance today. But there is something. Nigerians, I don't know, like psychologically, they love their oppressors differently because somehow they feel like if Nigeria is going bad because this man that is there is a Fulani man, is he going to be the first Fulani to destroy Nigeria? Somehow, everyone who has a connection with Fulani will begin to take any attack, any criticism on such Fulani presidency as a personal attack on Fulanis, even if they are also victims of his misgovernance. Same thing applies to those whose their own brain is programmed and conditioned regionally. You will see some, because the person in charge is a Yoruba man. If Nigeria is going up in smoke, he's not the first person to put up to burn Nigeria. Why are you angry with him? Is it because he's a Yoruba man? Oh, is it? So it's because you hate the North. There's nothing you can do about it. A Northern we do is 8 years. All of you can continue to hate him. We are all suffering. We are all in danger. The consequences of bad government and bad governance is like a stray bullet. It doesn't discriminate. It will hit. And even you that is their ardent defender and supporter, you can be their worst victims. But because it is turn by turn Nigeria Limited, when the Northerners finish, Southerner will do. When a Christian finish, Muslim will do. When a Yoruba finish, Hausa will do. Igbo too will do. But that's how they kind of, like, it was supposed to be turn by turn. But when they reached the turn of the Igbos, Wahala started. So nobody really cares about whether Nigeria is going to succeed or is not going to succeed. Everyone is waiting for their time. And they have, you see these people, they have brewed generations of Nigerians who are also waiting in line, from councillor to local government chairman to House of Assembly member, or becoming National Assembly member, House of Rep, Senate, or even governor. Every one of them, as we speak today, a lot of them are just waiting because they have learned the rope. So, when Buhari was there and all this terrorism were being institutionalized, industrialized, and ransom payments became nationalized. In fact, terrorism became legalized. The North felt that everyone asking Buhari to resign was doing so because they wanted to take power away from the North. The rest of the country was shouting, state police, restructuring, this and that. And guess what? The most vitriolic opposition to restructuring in Nigeria are also these northern elites. The same people who believe they were born to rule. Unfortunately, 8 years of Buhari divided Nigeria more. Buhari legalized and legitimized tribalism, ethnicism, religious supremacy, fanaticism, jihadism. 8 years of legalizing ridiculousness. But if you said anything, if you dare try to say you want to protest, you are doing so because you are against the North, and the North will fight back. I remember, because it wasn't long ago. This was just a few months back. Everybody was suffering. They said the rest of Nigeria should continue. Suffer. He's not the first person that will make Nigerians suffer. Buhari is not the first person that will be the kineko. Now, after that everyone now knows better that when you reach your own turn, no go dey do Mr. Nice Man or Nice Woman. No. If you like, make your entire government key position, give them to the people of your own tribe. Buhari did it. And the rest of the North backed him. Tinubu now have started doing again, leg over, to the right, to the left. They can't say Tinubu dribble them. That Tinubu is trying to break up Nigeria. But before that, he wanted to relocate key institutions back to Lagos to start with, and then spread the rest of them to the part of Nigeria. And that is scary because they have lost so much in Nigeria, that they invested so much to bring to reality. This is what the ACF is saying, So Tinubu told them, everything will remain the same, untouchable, because he has already promised Buhari that he would continue from wherever he stops. That was what they told them. That was what sold Muslim tickets to them. That was what sold Pablo Escobar and Shekau Shetima to the supposed elite of the North. Educated elite. Àwọn tó ń lo takiya. You know what is called takiya? Takiya is when you will see educated Sharia northerners. All right? That will be kind of sounding like they are so educated, intelligent, and the rest of that. But behind all of that, behind all of that facade, is the real fanaticism, the sense of entitlement, something that they believe As long as Nigeria exists, there are some status quo that must not be touched. If you touch them, you are actually coming for us. And coming for us is not something good for everyone. That is exactly the message of the Arewa Consultative Forum to Tinubu. You deceived us. Now you have the power. Why are you moving back the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria headquarters, FAN, back to Lagos? This was something that a Fulani Adisirika, the man that used 14 billion to buy 14 fire truck equipment, okay, 1 billion each. The guy who wanted to give you, who gave you the bogus Nigeria Air, he was the guy who relocated the fan back to Abuja. But there is actually a concept. Let me quickly come around and tell you something. Abuja is not northern Nigeria, just like a Plateau State is not northern Nigeria. Do you understand? The northern Nigeria, on map, comprises of at least just about 11 states. Okay. However, within those 11 states, right, there were the way they created the states, demarcated everybody in a way that, for example, people were supposed to be, when they were creating regions in back in the pre-independence, okay, it was like people who share close proximity to themselves enough that they share a lot together to be called region. And the people of this space in Eastern region, every part of that Eastern region, there was no spillover to Kogi, which was not Eastern region. But if you go and there was no spillover to Benue, because Benue will be middle belt of Nigeria, not Eastern region. But when they were creating all the states in Nigeria, you know what they did? They cut part of Eastern Nigeria, Igbos, to be part of what is today's Kogi. When you go and look at their map, right? They cut part of today's Eastern Nigeria, Igbo land. They cut it to be part of Benue. And today you will still see Igbos in Benue. You will still see Igbos along all these pattern bordered areas, right? The same thing when they were creating their middle belt as well. Because Ilorin is the caliphate of the Sokoto Caliphate. All right. However, more than 80% of, in fact, 100% of people of Ilorin speaks Yoruba. 100%. Okay. However, you have like about 10-15% of them as well who actually really have connection to the Fulani Caliphate. However, they have Ilorin. But when they were creating states, because a Yoruba land, who was supposed to be like, Kwara, when they were creating states, instead of them to just have cut any part that, I don't think they would be able to have cut Ilorin to be part of Niger anyway. But anyway, sure you get, they now cut the entire place called Kwara State today. Mango the Yorubas in there, who are indeed the majority, okay? However, they just cut them up in a way to make them look like they are northerners. You know the Plateau people, Jos, they are not northerners, okay? They have so much difference, you know what I mean? Like, but because of the same sharing of border, when they created state, they cut maybe half plot of a Fulani obtained and occupied areas. They cut them into Plateau to give them the chance to further encroach to the mainland. That's why you are seeing all the wildlife in Plateau. The same thing when you go to areas like Gombe, Yobe, Taraba, Adamawa, you will think they are north. They are not completely north. But when they created the cutting of the map, people that have nothing to do with Sharia, they cut them as part of those places. But in reality, everybody don't they talk, say, we know ourselves, so we know we are not northerners, we are not Sharia, we are not, and we are actually the victims that they wrote their history, the bloody history of Sokoto Caliphate on, the bloody history that they said Uthman Dan Fodio was fighting infidels. History 1 year, that's their history. That Uthman Dan Fodio, the man, the Fulani, that came from Futajalon, his parents, they were there in Hausa land. This was pre-1807. No, it's not even that far. 1807, 1907, 100 years. 2007, 200 years. 2024, 217 years ago. Before that, Hausa land was the entire place they called north of Nigeria today. Hausa land, with their kings and everybody. You know what they told them? They said their kings were corrupt. So after about a century, when Fulanis first surfaced in that land, from the Futajalo, Futasoro, Futasadness, Hausa people were there doing their things. Then this teacher came, Uthman Danfodio, who now accused all of their leaders, kings, all of them, they accused them of being corrupt. Remember, it is the same pattern they use today. Whenever they were planning coup in Nigeria, they will tell you they planned the coup because of the corrupt government, corrupt leadership who doesn't care about the people. And a lot of you will just be like, yay, fellow Nigerians, Fulanis. It didn't start today. It started 3 centuries ago. That was how they conquered the Hausa land. That is now Caliphate, where you have Sokoto, Caliphate today. So when they were when they were cutting all this, because they were the one who divided the state. So when they were doing all of that, they were cutting people to make them minorities in some of those places, right? And then in areas, one circle.
We will work with you to build a Nigeria that is not corrupt. I bring you a message of hope. We are going to spend a lot of resources on education.
So it is the pattern. Okay? They accuse the Hausa leadership then of being corrupt. And to make it worse, they were also infidels who were worshipping idols instead of Allah. So he was able, through his teachings, he was able to assemble an army of believers. The people that believed that they were fighting jihad, they were trying to save the religion of Allah. And that was the first jihad. They slaughtered them. They killed them to make sure that they did not have any descendants left alive. You will never. And then they cleared all their history. They burnt all of the Hausa histories that they could burn. Every traces of royalty, they burnt them down. And on that, they now use their blood to rewrite the history of northern Nigeria. You see those they call the infidels. The infidels are those Middle Beltans. When you read their history, and they said, Uthman Danfodio, messenger of Allah, defeated infidels. In this place, in that place, they were killing indigenous people. For those who easily, in some places, there were those who were easily converted. Instead of facing Danfodio's terrorist army, they just converted to Islam. I'm telling you the real history of that northern Nigeria. Otiwa casting saying for 8 years, Fulani terrorists, Boko Haram, they were slaughtering the supposed northerners. I'm talking about the Middle Beltans. They were being slaughtered. They were not allowed to even protest. When they asked for Buhari's resignation that he couldn't protect them, they were not called northerners then. They were called enemies of the north. But whenever they lost that power, no longer in control, Baba, the Ekun Egbere will start. And that is where we are going now. The Ekun Egbere have started. Because Tinubu lied to them. And as entitled, spoiled brats, man, these guys were entitled. You have no idea. The crude oil found in southern Nigeria is considered to belong to the rest of Nigeria. And that is the money they always want to share until there's no more money. And they started selling the crude oil themselves. But when it comes to, guess what? In northern Nigeria, all this while, ordinary village head was given mining licenses, mining approval to different kind of miners at ridiculous giveaway prices, while the rest of you in southern Nigeria, they no burn you well to bring your digger and say your family land get gold. You want the extract time, you will be arrested. And that will be you. That will be them doing you a favor. They will kill you. And if they have to invade your entire village and kill everybody there and make every one of them refugees, they will do it. So Nigeria is a place where you are supposed to have a one country, but guess what? They have supposed one country, but two rules. It was because of them they introduced quota system into Nigeria system from the moment they started the unitary system of government that they are practicing now. Quota system. Me as a southerner, I have to do everything possible to meet up the cutoff mark before I could gain entrance into unity schools, into universities. But as northerners, the privilege just comes naturally. If you can do it, do it. If you can't, don't worry yourself. Your own will not be compared to those from the southern Nigeria. And that was put into the system, just like that. And same thing goes into everything. I didn't know that even though some of you are complaining that it is so difficult to access loans for your businesses in southern Nigeria and all of that stuff, ridiculous interest rate, businesses are dying, banks are not loaning and all of that stuff. I know everyone is now feeling that too. But this guy also mentioned that. He said something about northerners having no bank. I was like, but they do have a Unity Bank and Jay's Bank. I was like, no, that one does not matter. They are no longer in power. And somehow, the reality is dawning on them. Now, restructuring is now kind of something they want to say, even if they don't want it. Restructuring Nigeria means breaking up of Nigeria, in case if you don't understand. The reason why Nigeria is what Nigeria is because this entitled element from northern Nigeria wanted it that way. And if you want power, you must promise them that you are not changing the status quo. But they have no idea what Tinubu is doing. And a lot of people like it. Oh, I like it, Mayegu. I don't give a damn about what they do to themselves, Mayegu, but I think I like it. It's just that it's happening so fast. Why are they paranoid? When you go to all these ministries, federal ministries, parastatals, agencies, they took the lion's share of all these spaces. They don't even have to qualify for some of those positions. As a northerner, yeah, you, southerner, go to school, go and read like mad. Oh, the best graduating student from your school, blah, 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 blah. You will then be posted to the Ministry of Finance, and somebody who entered university with just a cutoff mark of a 4. In JAMB, 4 in JAMB is going to be your director there. And you will look at, and a lot of people actually like, they just blended with it. Like, well, it's Nigeria, that's what it is. And then they were wondering, why is the country not working and functioning? Like, what, no. It's because of the systemic failure, the feudalist system that this Sharia backward northern Nigeria represents. And if these are the thoughts and the mindset of those who claim to be the elite of the Sharia North, of course they are primitive. That's why we are having problems in Nigeria. If you are watching me and you are not a Nigerian, this is why you are reading a lot about Nigeria and from Nigerians. Clash of civilization. We have people who are still living in 19th century, but they want the entitlement of 21st century without any responsibility. The rest of the country has to live with it, or the country can continue to burn. So we are going to take this part apart, okay? So this is Dalatu, who was there to complain about Tinubu's. Why is he moving the FAN capital to Lagos? Why is he moving the Central Bank of Nigeria's operation, blah, 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 to Lagos? If he is planning to decongest Abuja, why can't he just move them to, places like Kano, move the operation to somewhere else like Umahia, Abia, or Port Harcourt, or you know what I mean? That's why you say, but let's begin to take it apart. This clip and the old content of it as well belonged to Arise News, okay? If you really, really want to watch the entire conversation, right, I advise, okay, after this broadcast, go on to the Arise News YouTube channel, okay, and relax and pick. But these are the few points I pick that I feel like you might be happy that they are crying this or they are complaining that, or Tinubu is this, or no. And this is something I need to also add. Caveat, it's a caveat, okay? If you are a Southerner, all right, and somehow, you feel like, apart from the Northern Nigeria complaining and crying about this kind of loss of control, right? I just want you to know that all of this move, not a single one of them is because of you. Not a single one. Not a single one of this move is because Tinubu want to break Nigeria or restructure Nigeria. It is a drug lord's move. Control. Dangote refinery and Dangote himself, as well as the corruption of Emefiole linked, as they used Dangote refinery for all of that. Tinubu was not doing all of that because he wanted to be open and honest with you Nigerians. He wasn't doing that. He was doing all of that because of control. If this is where all of over $10 billion of Nigeria money was laundered, I want to know those who laundered the money, who are the beneficiaries, and what is in it for me. And the moment that area is cleared, you are not going to hear anything about a Emefiole link to Dangote anymore. So the same thing with all of these institutions. Whatever Tinubu does, don't ever make a mistake that it is because Tinubu, number one, he wanted to empower the South. No, he's not. It's all about control. Control by himself. And it's as simple as that. On this suspicion is where Arewa Consultative Forum are now raising alarm. They are not comfortable. Let's go into it.
Traditional title. All right, talk to us about the ACF's problems and with the Tinubu administration on these issues, which has made a lot of people within this apex organization in the north to actually voice their concerns, including the ACF pushing out a statement that the Tinubu government should have a rethink over the policies.
Thank you very much. Well, to understand the position of the Arewa Consultative Forum and I believe majority of Northerners now is to first of all go into a little bit of history so that the people will now be able to understand why Arewa is feeling a bit apprehensive. Anybody my age and above will remember how prosperous this country was, and especially the northern region, based on the agricultural output and activity of the majority of our population. Then there was the discovery of oil, and then everybody forgot about agriculture, and the rush into oil had caused a very serious deficit in the performance of agriculture and food production, and therefore making the economy work in various directions. That rush has left. Obviously, when there are less activities in agri sector, means that there will be less economy and economic activity and money and prosperity in those areas that depend entirely on agriculture, which is northern Nigeria. Now, with that also come along the other government programs, projects, some of them deliberate, some of them, I think, innocent, lack of foresight, that further made northern Nigeria far more apprehensive and began to feel that something must have been amiss. We have been brought up, my generation and those before me, to believe in the oneness of Nigeria, to work, to protect, to promote the oneness of this country, to unify it, to be united, and to love our neighbors. So, but when programs like the current one you are talking about,
the planned relocation of
the planned relocation is just the tip of the iceberg, really. It started much earlier than that. We were here when, in 1999, we were part of the Port Authority. Nigerian Port Authority was removed from Abuja back to Lagos. Nigerian International Institute of International Affairs, and I think maybe NIMASA were returned to Lagos, and we thought it was really not a very, very well-intentioned thing to do at that time. Now that will quickly, we recall other government actions that had put us backwards, like the privatization of industries in Nigeria.
Government-owned enterprises.
Yes, government-owned enterprises were privatized, and this was after the petroleum discovery and the rush and the businesses that took place. Naturally, those in the proximity of the source of wealth were getting it easier than those that are far away from it. So they were able to buy off all the government hitherto jointly owned natural wealth of the country were sold, and we believe over 80% of those went to the south. Our view at that time was that if you are selling a jointly owned government or industries or enterprises, you should sell them to the states.
To state governments.
To state governments who will now hold in trust to individuals, so that you can sell to individuals in states, and where the states cannot be able to sell all, will keep in trust. So all that in the end, the ownership is still going to be, well, the enterprises will still be privatized, but the ownership will still be Nigerian. Unfortunately, that didn't happen that way. So that one also pushed the North backwards in terms of resources, in terms of economic activity.
Yeah, but some of these enterprises were also bought.
Are you listening to that? I mean, it's kind of being just honest too, but not completely honest. It started with the fact that he said northern Nigeria was prosperous, the Nigeria discovered oil, and then he went on to talk about, he said, listen, this movement of FAN, as well as the operation of Central Bank back to Lagos, is just the tip of what Tinubu is still going to do. And the last time people did that, they lost prosperity in northern Nigeria. Let me explain what he was practically saying, just to those of you who probably have no full understanding of that statement and why they are concerned that if Tinubu is not only going to abandon them to the insecurity, he is in fact is going to impoverish them more. When it comes to getting jobs in all these ministries, parastatals, and most of them are duplicated offices anyway, just to give the job to northerners. Now in Nigeria, okay, when somebody from your region is the president of Nigeria, okay, automatically every opening in government, even if there is none, they will create it. So massively, they will recruit people from that region. So beneficially, right, it is a way of putting them in the civil service, so that and most of these are done through political patronage. For example, when a Yoruba man is president now, what he will do is that when there is opening, they want to create in Federal Ministry of Finance, Ministry of this, Ministry of that, even in the police, civil service, and the rest of that. So they will now print forms and give to members of their political party or the people they know. So that you will know that when you got the job to enter the Ministry of Finance, it was Tinubu that made that happen. Remember, if you become a permanent secretary or you become somebody in that ministry, you owe Tinubu a loyalty. So it's the same thing. When Fulani, Buhari was there, everywhere, ranka dede. You will even see Chinedu wearing babariga and then growing beard, long one. Because he has to look like a Fulani as well. He's already a yellow person, like a light-skinned. So all he needed more is just to keep the beard and put on the dress. And maybe if he can kind of interact in Hausa, he's probably going to get an opportunity to get something from the same government. It is always like that. So and you see these northerners per se, when I say northerners now, I told you, please always don't add the middle belt now. All right? When it is politically convenient, you see this Sharia North, they will call themselves the biggest, the one North. There is no one North. Just like there is no one Nigeria. The middle belters, not only were they deceived, they also deceived themselves for a while, but they are waking up now, realizing that they've always been the victims of attempted Fulani terrorism anyway. So how could the rest of the North look away or try to silence them when they are under attack from the Fulani terrorists? And you call ourselves, we are one North, one North. It's like a Western Nigeria right now. And then we say, I'm just kind of creating a scenario because some of you are kind of emotional, too much sensitive as well, okay? So let's say they say, Ondo people, they have a group called Ondo, kill them. Something like that. And everybody is so scared that there is a terror group in Western Nigeria, that is killing people, chasing them out of their lands and all of that. And they are from Ondo State. They are Ondo people. They are these people. You know what I mean? Like, and then the people who are like share border with them, like Ekiti, and then straight to maybe even Oshun, who are their victims, okay? So when it is convenient, Ondo people now says, we are one Yoruba. We are one people. How can you say we are one people? And you are murdering us and massacring us like that? And you are not even taking responsibility. You are calling us people who are just trying to, cry, like cry wolf, when nothing is really happening. It's just some clashes. It's just some clashes. At farmers, others clashes. But now only farmers, they die. We know they see others will die. And now farmers, others clashed. So when I say Northern Nigeria, just remember the 11 or so Sharia North. All right? So they feel like they have lost the power in a way that once they move all of these ministries, all these positions back to Lagos, not only would Tinubu take control, in fact, if Tinubu chooses to sell any government property, he can easily just sell it to Yorubas or Southerners. And Northern Nigeria, they will stand no chance. And that is not good for Northern Nigeria. Do you understand that now? That is why it is not good for the North. Because they know that the moment Tinubu move them, he may decide to sell them to his own supposed parties. And that will make some of them poorer. They said Soludo did it. He actually said something like that. But that's not all. Let's go to the next one.
We don't view this as loss of power. A Northerner was in power in the last 8 years, but I don't think the North was in power. A Northerner was on the top of the government.
That's a highly political statement.
Yes, well, yes, but that you cannot say we are in power. North was not in power. I come from a village in Jigawa State, and in the last 20 years, very little has changed. Whatever changed was because of the effort of the state government, not the federal government. You can tell so many other towns in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, that had not changed in any way, that had not experienced any federal patronage because the Northerner was in government. We are brought up to see Nigeria as one entity, and not discriminate against other sections of the country. That's why probably you will see a Northerner as president, and he was more concerned in doing the second Niger bridge, while there is a Kano Maiduguri road that has been there for 30 years and is still uncompleted. While there is a Kaduna.
Isn't it right for him to do that? Because the vast majority of the resources of this country come from oil, and which is in the southern part of the country. And you and I know that, of course, they also deserve some attention.
You are making my point. I'm saying that as president, he didn't see